This is quite literally the fastest growing brand I've ever worked with in my career. We speed ran this brand from $0 to $2.5 million a month in less than 100 days. SEO part of that was about $315,000 in that same 30-day span. Gonna get into how we did it. Here's what we're gonna cover: technical audit, on-page optimization, building Topical Authority, internal linking, and backlink building. Quick intro to me. My name's Kai. I'm the founder of NewSe, or to HE for 6, 7, and 8-figure Shopify brands. And all we do is grow brands organically via Google search. I spent years doing SEO for other people in other agencies, and I didn't like it. Pretty generic, even manipulative in certain times, and I wanted to build something different. So that's what NewSe is. A few things you should know about us: super small team, clients aren't passed off to account managers. I personally communicate with every single brand, and I build the strategy myself. Team executes it. Only with Shopify brands. Every unicorn in D2C chooses Shopify for a reason. We do too. Another thing I'll say is time is money. Everyone in SEO says SEO takes 6 to 12 months. I don't personally believe that. We break that stereotype constantly. Two good examples: we helped a brand grow from $43,000 a month to $72,000 a month in 8 months. Helped another brand go from 12 to 30 at the time I recorded it. Now actually $50K a month in organic revenue in 5 months. Again, like I said, the fastest growing brand I've ever worked with. In early November of 2023, founder reached out to me to discuss SEO for his newest dropshipping brand. I followed him on Twitter for a while because I saw he had some pretty cool case studies and things going on. Honestly, I just was interested in following him. He reached out to me, so that was a pretty cool DM to get. I will say dropshipping and SEO don't tend to mix all that well, especially if you're doing like churn and burn dropshipping, just because, they're interested in very short-term growth. SEO is definitely a longer-term kind of growth channel. In any case, though, we saw a very big opportunity. Most brands we work with operate in the $200,000 to $500,000 a month revenue range. When we connected, it was 40 days into business. He'd only done $50K a month. But like I said, we saw a lot of opportunity. Now, chalk it up to dumb luck, chalk it up to really good execution on his part. When he reached out, the timing was quite literally perfect. When we first spoke, his target keyword for the product was averaging just about 300 searches a month. Pretty low, especially for the price point the product was at. Fast forward to now, it averages 14,800 searches a month, and I actually think it might be up in the last couple of days to like 25,000 mark. We now rank number 2, which is an excellent spot to be at. And I mentioned the $2.5 million month, which was between days 70 and days 100 of the brand's existence. In that same span of time, in the day 70 to 100 period, that keyword drove $315 nearly $1,000 in organic search revenue as a direct result of our SEO strategy. So you can see it here, pretty insane numbers. This was an 8,700% increase from the first 30 days prior to working with us. So pretty crazy. I'm going to show you how we pulled it off, all the levers we pulled, and going to break down the details of pretty much all of them. All right. Whether it's this brand, another brand, we build custom strategies for every single brand we work with. There's no boilerplates. They're cookie cutter templates that work. That being said, most of the brands we work with are quite well established, 200, 500K a month type range. This is a completely new brand, right? Pretty much at zero, all things considered. This is only one of 2 totally young infant brands I've chose to work with. But the strategy for a new brand at 0K a month is far different than the strategy that we'd build for a $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a month brand. So you're going to see some differences here that you wouldn't see in those other strategies. First off, tech audit. Any brand we bring on, this is a staple, the very first step we take. Run a technical audit, fix any errors, and obviously address any pre-existing limitations, or not any, the pre-existing limitations within the Shopify platform, mostly regards to indexing and canonical URLs and things like that. My personal opinion, if you can boil e-com SEO down into 3 buckets: technical, on-page, and off-page, technical is probably the least important of the 3 once you get, once you take care of all the basics and you implement best practices. Now, you've got 1,000, 10,000 SKUs, maybe a different story, right? But for most brands, I think it's at least important. What we found, it was a new site, literally I think 8 pages, 2 product pages, no blogs, a contact and FAQ, very basic skeleton. So not any technical issues. I think the crawl actually returned like a 90 out of 100 on SEMrush, which, is a pretty arbitrary metric, but still cool to see. So we fixed the canonical product URL issue, the indexing tagged URLs, set up pagination for blogs and collections, and implemented schema. Once we have not literally touched technical SEO since this point. Okay, it's all been on page and off page, which I'm going to get into now. So there's only 2 products on the brand, and really one of them was the flagship. The other one was an upsell. And like I said, we already knew the keyword. There was no keyword research to do. And this may sound remedial, but you still have to optimize your product page or collection page or whatever it may be for your target keyword. Even brands we work with, when they came on board, an SEO agency worked with them previously and hadn't even put the target keyword in the title, which is the most basic place you should put it. If you're trying to replicate this, definitely take that step. It is far more critical than you may think. So fully optimized the product page. Here's what we did. I won't get into all these details. If you want to read the doc, obviously you can. We had to change the URL because it was way too long. Put the target keyword in the new URL, 301, the old one to the new one. Product title, same thing. This is one of the first things that Google reads on a page whenever it's evaluating a page. Target keyword should be there, right? Makes sense. It's like kind of the cover of a book, if you will. Meta title, same thing, right? That's pretty much the title of your page in search results. You definitely need it there. Meta description, not a direct ranking factor. Google has, I think, outright said that, but it's still worth putting your target keyword in the meta description. Reason being is if someone searches for it, it will be bolded in the meta description. That's going to draw someone's eyes to it, potentially get a click out of that, right? You're really optimizing through click-through rate on the meta description, if anything. Image alt text, again, an often forgotten on-page optimization piece. Make sure your target keyword is in your main product image. Also, if you have multiple product images, throw in some keyword variants. Don't get into like keyword stuffing or just naming or using the exact same image alt text for every single product. You might get flagged for that. So vary it up, use some, semantic keywords, things like that. And then product description. Keyword density, not really a thing anymore. Maybe in certain niches, probably not for most e-commerce products. Just mention it 2, 3, 4 times in your description. If you've got a longer description, maybe some banners, some FAQs down below, edit it a few more times, right? Don't overthink it. Make it look natural, as you're kind of writing about the product for that description. If this brand had, 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 SKUs, we would repeat this process for probably not every single product, all of their main products that we are going to focus on in the early stages. Same thing with collection pages. Now, this was, pretty quick. We only had to optimize really 2 PDPs, really only one we focused on. But if you're doing this, you need to replicate this process for every single product that you want to rank in search. Same with your collections. Topical authority. To make a long story short, topical authority is pretty much a measure, so to speak, of a particular website's expertise, trustworthiness, credibility, however you want to think about that, on a particular subject, primarily built by creating quality blog content that demonstrates your subject matter expertise in whatever field you exist in. Okay. Good example is WebMD. They rank probably on page 1 for nearly every single search involving a medical condition or symptom because over the literal decades, they've built an insane amount of topical authority. I would venture to guess that like 80% or above of their pages rank in the top 10 for some keyword. As you amass more topical authority in your niche, you will rank higher for your main keywords. And by main keywords, I mean your product pages and your collection pages, which is where you make money in e-commerce. This is how e-commerce SEO functions. This part is very critical. And a lot of people overlook blog writing in e-commerce. They're like, oh, I just want to rank my product pages. I understand. I also want to rank your product pages, but Google's only going to rank you number 1 or on page 1 at all if it trusts you, okay? It takes time to build trust, especially for a new brand like this that is under 40 days old when we started and even 100 days old at the time. Really, this is done through content and link building, okay? And I'm going to get to links later on, but we're going to start with content and topical authority. You have to create valuable content that's topically associated with your site. For example, you sell skincare products. The only way to do this is to write blogs about all kinds of skincare issues, solutions, questions, product reviews, all those kinds of things. Topical authority can be amassed for an entire niche like skincare. However, it's difficult. Imagine the WebMD of skincare, just how many keywords would exist under that umbrella, right? If you're a one-man band or, you've got a small team, that's not on the table for you. It's going to take way too long and way too much money to amass that topical authority for something like all of skincare. Let's say in the same niche, drill down a little bit, men's organic skincare, and then expand from there, right? Once you cover men's organic skincare, you can work on to, women's organic skincare or men's sun-related skin conditions, like things like that. Again, this is easier, cheaper, and faster, which are the 3 best things you could ask for in really anything, but especially in SEO. Gonna give you one further example before I hop on to the next thing, because it's really important you understand topical authority before I get onto how we approached it. Let's say you sell your skincare brand, very big wide net of products, sunscreen, lotion, anti-itch, anti-acne, collagen, whatever else. Imagine trying to answer every single question and cover every possible keyword that has to do with skincare. Again, like I said, it'd be like the WebMD of skincare, and it would take years, maybe decades, depending on the team size. It's not in the cards. It's not feasible. Instead, imagine answering every question and covering every possible angle or keyword that's associated with just one of the categories in your suite of products. Let's say collagen supplements. Okay. This is obviously a smaller category, one of the 5, 6, or 7 that you sell. And again, because it's a smaller category, there's less keywords to cover. You can build topical authority cheaper, faster, and just generally better. You can be the expert on collagen supplements, whereas your competitors might be trying to cover all of skincare, which I just said was super inefficient way to approach it. You start writing blogs about collagen supplements, maybe 20, 30 of them, assuming they're well written, and you've set up internal linking properly. I'll get to that again in a second. All of those blog posts are going to start ranking higher in search and start driving traffic to your site. But more importantly, again, if you take care of internal linking and you do backlink building like I'm going to show you, your money page will rank higher. And that is really what we're looking for, right? We don't care about blog traffic. We care about organic revenue through your money pages, which are your products and collections. Okay. Again, same example. You're gonna have to repeat this same process for all the categories that you kind of exist in. It's gonna take some time, right? But again, if you cover all of them at the same time, as opposed to doing one at a time, you're never gonna cover it for any of them, right? Instead, cover it for one, right? Which will take, a few weeks, few months, depending on your team size and how efficient you guys are. And then move on to the next one. And while you're working on the next 1 or 2, the other one will start to make you money. as opposed to trying to push them all forward at the same time. Hopefully Topical Authority makes sense because it's about to get a little bit backwards. The product this guy sells is an emerging product, right? I don't even think it existed up until maybe like middle of 2023. And because of that, there were very few relevant questions to answer about it and definitely no topical keywords to cover in relation to it. The Topical Authority measure didn't exist in this category. Insane. No other sites had even tried to do it. Just flashing back for reference to the collagen supplement, a few topical blog posts would look like this. The benefits of them, do they work, what happens to your body when you take them, which form is most effective. For most brands we work with, this is not the case. Very easy to define Topical Authority, what keywords we need to go after. Unfortunately, and this is the only time I would use the word unfortunately to describe this brand, we were so far ahead of the curve that SEMrush and Ahrefs couldn't help us find these keywords. We had to get creative. I moved to Reddit, Quora, Google, Twitter, Instagram. No one had answered the questions people had. So we were in a really great spot because we could do it first, and that would mean Google would have to pretty much position us in that #1 spot for any of those keywords or questions because no one else was doing it. And I want to point out, like, people were asking them, but not enough to quantify a search volume in a tool like Ahrefs or Low Fruits or SEMrush. Built an extensive FAQ page to wrap all these questions into one, added schema to that. We have a ton of feature snippets on that particular page alone, and it's going to be an ongoing process, right? People are going to continue having questions about the product as long as it's in its relative infancy. On top of that, we published 4 blogs a month that were topically adjacent to the main product with internal links pointing to the product page itself and also between each of the blogs. Internal links are really funny in SEO. Every time people talk about links or really of any kind, they're always talking about backlinks, right? And a lot of people forget about internal links or don't even know they exist if you're newer to the space. And this is one quote I heard that really changed my perspective on them. Internal links do what people think backlinks do. And it's true. There's so many advantages to leveraging these better than your competitors. I see competitors in e-commerce all the time for all the brands we work with suck at internal linking. Okay, we happen to be very good at it. The reason they're so good, they pass value to the most important pages on your site and help Google crawl your site, which is obviously a nice little side benefit. They're cheaper than any backlink you'll ever build because they're free, and you are in 100% control of building them. Okay, meaning you control how and when they get built. You can direct them at any page you want, anytime you want, right? If you're building links, like no more waiting on publishers to publish a link. You want to build, log into Shopify and build it. Probably oversimplifying internal link building, but this is really the framework we operate on. Build internal links down the funnel, never build them up the funnel. Okay. You want to build them from these topical blog posts to your collection pages and product pages, but never the other way around. You can also build them laterally, so between collections and also between blog posts. I wouldn't recommend building them between products because you've essentially given the user, your customer, a chance to click a link to another page, which is, if it's on the product page, which is further away from the add to cart button. And again, you pretty much just taken them out of your funnel. Link building is different in every niche I've found. But like I said, from a blog to another blog, from a blog to the product page, and then from a blog to the FAQ page when relevant. And again, we use relevant, well-varied anchors to force Google to rank us for the target keyword. I would say we were probably a bit more aggressive on exact match anchors than I typically would be, but it's a new site and it's an emerging category. I wanted to get to the #1 spot first, and I knew Google wasn't, like, it didn't have it on its radar as much because it was such a weaker SERP. Backlink building. Generally, the more backlinks you have pointing to your website, the more money you will make. This obviously doesn't apply if you leverage, thousands of PBN or like low quality trafficless pages. So they need to be average, or at least obviously above average would be ideal. To double down on that, there's a reason Forbes ranked for anything it wants, right? It's got 400 million backlinks. I don't know what it ranks, but it's probably in like the top 10, top 20 maybe, most linked to sites on the internet. Same thing with Wikipedia, right? Which is why Wikipedia shows up top all the time. They're really a popularity contest, right? The more you have, the better you do. There are countless ways to build links, some white hat, some black hat, some gray hat. All of them vary in methodology, cost, even effectiveness, depending on the niche you operate in. We always build with a handful of different methods to build a well-rounded profile. I'm going to walk you through what we did for this brand. So we did UGC links, which is Reddit, Quora, Wikipedia even. Tiered links to UGC and guest post. We also did press syndication and PR links. UGC links. Reddit and Quora do not issue do follow links, but in October and November, Google issued a big update, which everyone in SEO has been talking about even still. Pretty much Reddit and Quora won out. They're massively favoring those two sites right now. Previously, before the update, Reddit or Quora was in the top 10 or even top 3 results. That was considered an easy SERP to win, not the case so much anymore. For reference, Quora's traffic has increased by 400% since those updates. Reddit by 200%, pretty much doubled. Lots of benefits to being on Reddit and Quora. They don't issue do follow links. They are no follow links, which is a very important distinction, but we pretty much use them as our stalking horse. So what we did was we searched for our target keyword on each platform, all the competitors we were aware of, anyone asking questions even remotely relevant, imported links from all of those comments, threads, whatever, into a spreadsheet, and then we created multiple platform profiles. I think it was like 5 to 10, anonymous and non-branded, so it looks like a regular Reddit or Quora user. Then from there, we responded to and engaged with every single question, comment, and thread on that list, and when relevant or appropriate, included a link back to the site. If I linked on every single post, it would look really spammy, and like Reddit or Quora would flag us. So it had to be relatively, natural looking. Now, like I said, these are no-follow links. They don't pass value to our website directly. The combination of engagement and all the links pointing to our page is a positive ranking signal in the eyes of this entire search ecosystem we talk about. It's not a ranking factor, more of a signal. As far as Google is concerned, there are dozens, way more than dozens now, of people on these platforms that are, one, talking about our brand, and two, linking back to our website. Again, good signal. Overwhelmingly positive signal, because none of the other competitors were doing this. There are some doing it now, but we still have just way more kind of real estate on those platforms. This also helped us create and establish the entity within Google. Right now, Google knows our name and they know we're associated with this particular product, which the other competitors don't have that luxury. This will be ongoing, just like our FAQ build out. There are tons of questions always being asked about our product, and I guarantee if you sell anything online, there are so many questions about your product. Last thing about UGC, I guess doesn't really fall into the UGC category, but it's going to here. We also managed to get a link on Wikipedia with an exact match anchor pointing back to our site. Tiered links, second part of link building. Most backlinks, when people talk about them, are tier 1, meaning they link from another website to your website. But if you're willing to pay or, execute it yourself, you can build links to any website on the internet. I did just drop a video on tiered link building a few weeks ago, so definitely go check that out. As it pertains to this strategy, in this case study, actually we did a few tiered link systems. The first was with the Reddit and Quora stuff. Again, they're no follow, they don't pass value, but if you build tons of tiered links to those individual URLs, you pretty much force Google to pay attention to these pages and assign value, which then gets passed on to you. Now, when I say tons, it varied. We built as few as 50 tiered links, as many as 200 to 300 to particular URLs. I think we built like 200 or 300 to the Wikipedia one because we really wanted that to get pushed to our site. We also got a few press releases about the brand, which I'll get into. That's press syndication, bullet number 3 you're looking at right there. Pretty much you syndicate the release across 200 networks, and we built tier links to a lot of the main releases and big publications that picked it up. Again, these are tier 2 links. We also got a few PR links on high DR sites and hammered those all with tier 2 and even tier 3 links for those. Press syndication is really straightforward, right? There's services out there that do it for you. Pretty much you write a release or an article about your brand, new product, new blog, whatever, and then you distribute it across all these networks. The release will contain a backlink to the relevant pages on your site, whichever ones you include in the syndication release. And every single time the release is picked up by a new site, you get a backlink from those sites too, right? So it kind of feels like a cheat code to get links. Doesn't mean we automatically had 200 valuable backlinks because we syndicated it to 200 networks. There are lots of people doing syndication. Just because our release got picked up by that network, for example, there are also thousands of other pages on that site. And if ours doesn't have any links pointing towards it, any internal or backlinks, it's pretty much just buried in a website with like 30,000 pages. Google's not going to find that in the index, right? And it's definitely not going to reward any value. We would essentially build tier links to the ones we wanted, and that would again force Google to index ours. That's the last I'll say on press syndication. I usually share the details of that with our brands, so can't keep that to myself. PR links, again, these are different than the press syndication, but we immediately jumped on a reactive PR, platforms like Haro and Quoted, to start leveraging relationships with publishers we know. Again, emerging categories, so not a lot of Haro and Quoted wins. However, we did launch a small campaign and landed 5 links, all from DR80 plus websites, because it was so new and journalists were like, wow, we definitely want to cover this. No one's even heard about this. I have a guide on how to build reactive PR links for brands. Again, on my channel, I dropped it about a month or 2 ago. Check that out. You can do all of this yourself. It will take a huge time investment and results aren't guaranteed, or you can work with me instead. If you're a Shopify brand and you want results like this, we'll 2x your organic traffic and 3x your investment, just like we did for this client, and you can finally get off the Meta and Google Ads paid hamster wheel with revenue-focused SEO. If you're watching this and you've worked with an ineffective SEO agency before, I am sorry for you. Let me know if any of these sound familiar. They gave you a single keyword and expected you to just prepare the briefs, even write the content, and publish it all on your own. Pretty unhelpful. The content strategy was more comparable to throwing darts at a board, right? It felt random, haphazard. Maybe they only built a few backlinks, probably low value via guest posting. Maybe they didn't even QA them. Could be a PBN or something like that. They didn't optimize your money pages at all, or worse, they just continued to optimize your money pages to act like they were doing something. And to wrap it up, their internal linking was probably haphazard or maybe non-existent at all. We'll do this instead, like I just ran it through. Tech audit implementation, very quick. Most brands are out of this phase in the first 10 days of launching a new campaign. Depending on how many issues we find, I would say it's probably in 3 to 4 to 5 day range, actually. From there, we get on a money page optimization. Alongside that, topical authority building with middle and top of funnel blog content. And again, alongside all of that, backlink building with all of these different systems that I just described. Now, who's this not for? If you launched your brand a few weeks ago, this is not for you. I know this one was a few weeks ago. This was a very rare exception. This is for you if your brand is making at least $100,000 a month and you're ready to become a consistent 7-figure a year brand and move up the chain. this is the framework you're looking for. And if you're sick and tired of your brand, not growing or going up and down in organic traffic from working with an ineffective agency, and you want to drive traffic without relying on paid ads, this is for you. We only onboard a few select brands each month, usually about 2 to 3. If you want to find out if you qualify and want to experience results like this brand, book a call below. If you aren't a fit, you can steal everything I tell you on the call and this case study, and you can implement it yourself. Peace.